So, hello everybody, Chris here, D1Theory. I'm here with Ryan Glasson. Did I pronounce that right?
Yes.
Okay, from Australia, who is part of our team here for the Pforzheim Wilddogs. So, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
And this is the first time that we've had anybody, actually the first time I've actually really ever met anybody from Australia that plays football. So maybe you could just quickly talk about where in Australia are you from? How long have you been playing football? How popular is football in Australia? Kind of the basic questions for everybody that doesn't know.
Okay, so I'm coming from Brisbane, which is in Queensland, in the northeast of Australia.
Mm-hmm.
I've been playing football since 2012, so 8 seasons for the Brisbane Rhinos.
And how many teams are in Brisbane?
Well, it fluctuates year to year, but I believe this year there is 8. Previously there's been as many as 12. Usually sits around the 8 to 10 mark.
Okay.
As teams merge and fold and come up again.
So many in the... Wow, okay.
Because we cover like a large catchment area. We're driving upwards of 2 hours so we're in the center of Brisbane, and we'll drive 2 hours north, west and south to find teams.
Oh wow, okay.
To play against, I should say.
Yeah.
And in terms of popularity, it's more of like, there's sports massive in Australia.
Okay.
So I feel like a lot of people follow the game, but in terms of actual players, it's very far down the list.
And what are the most popular sports?
So each state in Queensland, Australia is a little bit different, but I would say in Queensland at least, it'd go rugby league, rugby union, AFL, football, like foosball, soccer.
Right.
And just in terms of football codes. And then
what is the difference in terms of the first two that you mentioned?
So rugby league is a pretty much purely Australian game.
Okay.
It's a little bit faster. It's only really played in 2 states of the 7 in Australia.
Okay.
Professionally at least. I suppose it's Melbourne as well. And then union is the sort of the global game.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a slower game, a lot more grindy, a lot more kicking, a lot less stoppages, kind of thing.
Okay,
yeah.
Gotcha. And you played as well?
I played both.
Played both?
Yeah, so I played in my high school.
Yeah.
I went to private school, Morris College, Ashgrove. I played rugby union for them.
Yeah.
And then I also played for a club team, rugby league, for West Panthers.
And when and how old were you? How did you make the transition into American football?
So playing, when I was 16, playing rugby league, I had a pretty serious knee injury.
Okay.
Just all cartilage, no structural damage, like ligaments and everything was fine. And
for all those future recruiters out there.
yeah, and my doctor told me to stop playing sport in general. Really, he was like, "You probably if you want to get the most out of this knee, you should probably just stop."
Really?
And I was like, "Well, what else do we have? Like, what can we do?" And we talked about all these exercises and stuff, and we found out the main cause was long distance running, and sustained exercise would be the issue. And I was like, well, I played baseball, what about that? And he's like, yeah, that's mostly sort of sprinting, that sort of stuff, that'll be fine.
Right.
Transition to gridiron, he said that was fine too, and I've been playing ever since.
Okay, and that's what it's called, gridiron.
Well, that's what everyone refers to it, because
American football.
American football is...
So how old were you when you started playing?
I would have been 18.
18, okay. Now, is American football or gridiron, is that offered in schools?
Oh, no.
It's all club,
Like
similar to Europe.
Yeah, so my coach last year started doing school programs, but that is purely extracurricular, like not in the school is not involved at all.
Okay, and when does the season take place? What months?
Usually in a normal year, sort of August to November. Late
August to November with like tournament action? Like do you guys have playoffs?
Yeah, so in Queensland we have a semi-final and a grand final. That's it. Top 4.
Okay.
Yeah.
And how? So further along. So you've been playing for 8 years, and then how did you make the decision to go international? To start searching, and how easy was that through portals, say like Euro players, or on the internet, or?
So yeah, 8 years for the Rhinos. I kind of wanted to. I was getting older. Obviously, I'm 26 now. I'm not massively old, but I wanted to kind of just see what I could do, because offensive line, defensive line in Australia isn't necessarily the best. There's a lot of good players, but teams generally. I just wanted to challenge myself at a higher level, and I also wanted to potentially see if I could do it. I heard all these stories of amazing players from Australia who have gone on to play in some of the top leagues in Europe, and I was like, well, I'm not as good as those guys, but what can I do? How good can I be? And then through Europlayers, which is the main website that I use, I got heaps of offers.
Really?
Yeah, like not all of them were amazing. Some of them were just like, yeah, we'll pay for a flight and that's it.
Sure.
But I got maybe 10 offers. I got teams interested.
That's great.
Yeah, like it was mind blowing to me. I was like, I didn't think I was that desirable, but obviously some people thought so.
Yeah, and I think that in Europe there's a lot of people are searching for a specific kind of character or there's a certain need for people, and I think specifically offensive linemen there's definitely a big need in Europe. And how it works here is that if you're American in the league that we play in with the Pforzheim Wilddogs, you're allowed to play with 2 Americans on the field at the same time. But if you're not from America, you're say an international, and you come over, there's no restriction on that. So it's really a huge asset to have somebody from a country other than America that's able to bring international experience here as well. And you've been here with the Wilddogs for 5-6 months?
5-6 months now, yeah.
How's the season going?
The season is the one scrimmage against Bern was great, but obviously, and training's been good. But
and then obviously with the COVID situation, everybody's waiting on what's going to happen. Yeah, good. And what would you say about the other direction? So for people, say from America or from anywhere that would want to go play in Australia, are there opportunities for them as well?
Yes, but they're much more limited. Pretty much every import, we've had my team in particular I know a lot more about. We've had a couple Americans over the last couple years, and there's a lot less money in the clubs, there's a lot less infrastructure, there's not as many clubs. You'll find almost no clubs own their own fields.
Okay.
They're renting. So my club, we were able to facilitate imports through jobs.
Okay.
So we didn't offer.
So you wouldn't offer them salaries, so to say. Okay.
And there's I think it's relatively easy to get a work travel visa in Australia.
Yeah.
And they would go through that sort of process for 1 year. That was sort of manageable, and we would help them find a house. Well, we would get a house for them, get them a job, and then just assist them, all lump them into one house. And the opportunities are there, but it takes the right kind of person. It's the same thing you get from a lot of European clubs. You're not going there for the money, you're going there for the experience.
Of course. Yeah, there's a fine line, because it is there needs to be a certain level of professionalism, right? When people come over, and they need to treat it like a job, because it is a job. But at the same time, you're a guy, and you're going to be part of the team, and you got to get along with the guys and be able to have fun as well. So what's really important and I've become more involved over the last couple of years with the recruiting process, is that 1 or 2 conversations, that kind of that feeling, that kind of gut feeling that you have from somebody, and that's gotta work out. Yeah. Because we've had very good experiences and some harder experiences, some more difficult experiences in the past with imports. So how many teams did you then speak to of those 10 offers that you had before you came over?
I only really spoke to 4, and that was because they were the teams that were going to give me more than just sort of a flight and you can play for us.
Okay.
They were the teams that either offered me housing situations or some other sort of benefits, and the Wilddogs came through with the cleanest offer in the nicest area, with the most upsides.
Yeah, and another thing for internationals, when you're going to come play somewhere in a foreign country, is to really have a good feeling, but also from the team, but also make sure that that documentation is taken care of, and that a team takes that really seriously, because that is the last thing that you want to have trouble with. And I think they do a pretty good job here, and hopefully that everything with you is in order, especially with traveling right now. It's a little bit difficult, etc. But good. Well, then appreciate your time, and this is a pretty interesting story, I think, for a lot of people that have not heard from international players, especially from Australia. This is my first time being able to kind of hang and play with somebody from Australia, so appreciate your time.
Thank you very much.
And enjoy the rest of the season if there's one.
Hopefully we do.
All right, thanks.
Bye.